This had to be a prank. Why else would my beloved houseplant, nestled by the TV, be harboring a hidden camera among its leaves? Small as it was, the implications were glaringly obvious. Stunned by the intrusion orchestrated behind my back, I immediately confronted my husband. He seemed momentarily surprised, then contemplative. With a sly smile, he suggested, time for a little payback. His clever ruse soon unmasked an unexpected eavesdropper. My name is Stephanie Bonneville, a 27-year-old professional at a leading pharmaceutical company. We're a household name in the industry, known for treating employees well with standout benefits. The job is demanding, often requiring overtime during busy periods, but it affords me a lifestyle of comfort, much of which I owe to my husband, Mitchell. A year into our marriage, Mitchell, a certified clinical laboratory technician, brings balance to my life. Our paths crossed at the hospital during a medication presentation, an encounter I never dreamed would lead to marriage. Now we savor a contented life together. Returning home from work, I was welcomed by the savory scent wafting from the living room. To my delight, Mitchell was in the kitchen, donning my apron, tending to dinner. "Welcome home," he greeted. "I'm home," I replied, eyeing the apron. "Couldn't find mine," he admitted, "so I borrowed yours." "Dinner's nearly done, thank you," I said, touched by his thoughtfulness. "You must be tired too," he shrugged it off. "This stew's a cinch, plus we'll have leftovers for spaghetti tomorrow." "Perfect," I beamed. "I might get off early tomorrow to pick up some spaghetti." Despite our demanding careers, Mitchell's unwavering support makes each day manageable, his seamless takeover of household duties a silent gift I couldn't be more grateful for. My marriage seemed perfect, yet one shadow loomed: my mother-in-law, Sarah. She doted on Mitchell, her only son, perhaps a bit too much. According to my husband, she'd never once scolded him. Whenever he had a falling out or brought home a girlfriend, Sarah's fury knew no bounds. She didn't hesitate to confront and cast away any of Mitchell's girlfriends she deemed unworthy, which strained his friendships and nearly drove him to leave home in his teens. Afterward, he threw himself into his studies, earning a place at a prestigious university, a move that seemed driven as much by a desire for independence as by academic ambition. Before our wedding, I braced myself to meet Sarah. Little did I understand the intensity of her attachment. My first encounter with her was starkly different from the warm welcome of my father-in-law, David. Sarah's gaze was cold and calculating. "Pleasure to meet you," I said, only to be met with a heavy sigh. She whispered sharply, urging silence to not disturb Mitchell's reunion with David. "Do you truly see yourself joining our family?" she questioned. "Mitchell has a stellar education, a secure income. Marrying someone like you is inconceivable. You must have ensnared him." I protested. "I've done no such thing." "We'll see. Young women today can seem innocent, yet be so cunning. I'm not like that. I love him," I insisted, but my declaration was met with skepticism. Her expression shifted as she spoke with a softness that belied her stern beauty. "Stop," she said. "You think I'm after your son's money?" "I've never thought that," I replied, earnestly. "I will make sure he knows. You don't love him, you love his money. That's why you're marrying him, isn't it?" Sarah's words cut through the air, leaving me in tears. Mitchell rushed to my side, his gaze sharp as he confronted his mother. "What did you say to her?" he demanded. Sarah feigned innocence. "I was just expressing the joy of marriage." "Then, why is she crying?" he pressed, his worry evident. "Perhaps she's overwhelmed by my support," Sarah suggested with a hint of sarcasm. Mitchell turned to me. "Stephanie, is this true?" I was mute, caught between honesty and the urge to keep the peace. Reluctantly, I nodded. "Just emotional, sorry," I managed to say. "Are you sure you're okay?" he asked, eyes searching mine. "Yes, I'm fine," I lied, not wanting to worry him further. Despite what he thought, confronting his mother was daunting. I aimed to handle things calmly, convincing myself that if I didn't confront her then, she would eventually stop. That was the hope. Our home was a 30-minute drive from my in-laws, a distance that seemed to shrink with Sarah's frequent, unannounced visits. She ignored our pleas, continuing to use the spare key we eventually hid. Her persistence escalated to creating scenes outside our door, her voice carrying, drawing the attention of neighbors. It was a situation that threatened to spiral out of control, and despite our reluctance, we always ended up opening the door. Sarah's visits had become a pattern, especially when I was home alone. On one occasion, with Mitchell out of town, her insistent ringing pierced the silence. I opened the door to her feigned shock. "Why the delay?" "I was in the middle of cleaning," I said. But she dismissed my excuse and pushed past me into the house, her expression sour. "I've reminded you to keep the house in order," she chided. "I do keep it clean," I countered, but her eyes zeroed in on a lone strand of hair on the floor. It was gray, clearly hers, yet she wielded it as proof of my supposed sloppiness. I bit back the retort that it was her hair, not wanting to escalate the situation. Instead, I watched as she made herself at home, dominating the living room in Mitchell's absence. One afternoon, arriving home before Mitchell, I set about tidying up. As I cleaned the TV stand, I stopped short. There, hidden in the foliage of my beloved houseplant, was a surveillance camera. My pulse quickened. Why would there be a camera here? The device was small, but its presence loomed large. I found the camera's model on my phone. It was a simple setup, incapable of recording without a specific smartphone app that had to be open to work. The discovery of the camera, with its light indicating whether it was active, was a chilling realization. The light was off, suggesting that the person monitoring was either not watching at that moment or was unaware that I had discovered the camera. When Mitchell returned home, I was waiting, ready to confront the situation. "Hey there, darling, what's going on? Why are you waiting here like this?" Mitchell's concern was palpable. "There's something you need to know," I said, the gravity of the situation weighing on my words. "We have a surveillance camera in our living room." His surprise was evident, but he quickly shifted into a more contemplative mode. "Do you have any idea who might have done this?" My mind raced to one conclusion, and it seemed Mitchell was already there. "Is it my mother?" he asked, almost rhetorically. The pieces fell into place. The only times when the camera could have been planted, the knowledge of our new electronics, it all pointed to Sarah. It was an invasion of privacy so profound that it left me feeling vulnerable and violated. "This is too much," I said, the frustration welling up. "Even if she doesn't like me, to spy on us like this." Mitchell's response was a mix of apology and resolve. He held me close, then, with a mischievous twinkle in his eye, he suggested, "It's time for us to retaliate." "Retaliate?" How I asked, intrigued despite the situation. He explained that if the camera malfunctioned, Sarah would likely come to fix it, revealing her hand in this. "We'll catch her in the act," he said confidently. "But she always comes when I'm alone," I reminded him. "That's why we'll make it look like you're alone," he said with a cunning smile. "I'll pretend to leave in view of the camera." Mitchell's plan was clear. We would use the camera against Sarah, setting a stage to catch her in the act. It was a risky gambit, playing on her need to watch and control, but it was a chance to expose her overreach and perhaps put an end to it. With a deep breath, I agreed to the plan, ready to reclaim our privacy and confront the issue head-on. With our plan in place, Mitchell and I made sure the camera was active, discussing his fake business trip within its view. The next day, we staged the accident with the potted plant, disposing of it and the camera in the trash, setting the stage for Sarah's expected intervention. As predicted, the doorbell rang while Mitchell was hidden away. It was Sarah. I kept my composure as I let her in. She asked for coffee, and as I moved to the kitchen, I sent a quick message to Mitchell. From my vantage point, I watched as Sarah, thinking she was unobserved, replaced the camera. This was the moment we had been waiting for. I burst out of the kitchen as Mitchell confronted his mother. "What are you doing, Mom?" he demanded, his face flushed with anger and betrayal. Sarah, caught off guard, tried to play innocent, questioning why Mitchell was there instead of on his business trip. But the ruse was up, and Mitchell laid it bare. The business trip was a trap to catch the person who had been spying on us. Sarah's outrage was palpable, but it was her embarrassment and shock at being caught by her own son that dominated. She turned to me, her anger boiling over, blaming me for separating her from Mitchell, for changing things between them. "All I ever wanted was a joyful life with the man I love. It was never about taking him under my wing." "Silence," she snapped, indifferent to my feelings. She blamed me for the disdain and alienation he felt towards her, but it was her own behavior that caused these feelings, not mine. Her accusations were baseless, and her insults unwarranted. When she reached out to me in anger, Mitchell intervened, firmly rejecting her gesture. "What's happening here?" she demanded, to which Mitchell's reply was sharp and clear. "Enough," he declared. "You're no longer the mother I knew. This is unforgivable. Anyone who hurts my wife will face consequences." Her confusion was palpable, but Mitchell had reached his limit. "I used to think I had a mother unlike any other," he continued, "but not anymore." Sarah was visibly shaken by his rejection. Mitchell stood his ground, expressing disbelief that his own mother could intentionally harm the person he loved without remorse. He proclaimed his inability to forgive her, to ever see her as his mother again. "Wait," she pleaded, but Mitchell was resolute. "Leave our home and don't come back," he insisted. Her departure was shaky, tears threatening to spill. The full story later reached David, Mitchell's father, who had been unaware of the true nature of Sarah's relationship with me. David, enraged and shocked, took decisive action and initiated a divorce. Now Sarah finds herself in a difficult position, staying with Mitchell's brother and his wife, where she is mistreated. Despite the harshness of her new reality, I harbor no sympathy. Her current plight is the outcome of her own doing. In the absence of Sarah's intrusions, my life with Mitchell has flourished. We enjoy our days free from the stress she brought into our lives. Our bond is strong, and in the tranquility that followed the storm, we found joy in the news of a coming baby,